again, everybody. A new book shares the incredible story of a man being called the most unlikely spymaster in American history. Donald Nichols was an Air Force sergeant who was a 7th grade dropout, but somehow ended up playing a major role in the espionage world as a close ally of South Korea's founding president during the Korean War. The book, King of Spies, The Dark Reign of America's Spymaster in Korea, tells the fate of Nichols' contributions and failings and how they played a role in today's potentially explosive situation on the peninsula. Please welcome author and renowned journalist Blaine Harden. It's so good to meet you. There's so many things to ask. Tell us who Nichols was.
Nichols was a spymaster on the Korean Peninsula before, during, and after the Korean War. He was there for 11 years, which is amazing for a spy in any remote part of the world.
What were his contributions?
Well, he helped the Americans not lose the war by breaking battle codes and finding weaknesses in Soviet weaponry, tanks and MiGs, that were bedeviling the Americans in the first months of the Korean War. Now,
this dude was a 7th grade dropout. How did he get to this place where he was able to be a spy master and a code breaker and all the rest?
Well, he was smart, he was ruthless, and he was brave, and he arrived for the war 4 years early. So he learned Korean, he developed a network of spies, and there was a huge vacuum in American understanding of what was going on in the Korean Peninsula, and he filled it.
He knew what was coming.
He knew. In fact, he forecast the war and sent reports that it was coming, which were ignored by Douglas MacArthur and others in U.S. intelligence.
So he turned out to be indispensable, but there was also a very dark side to his presence there. What was that?
Well, the dark side is he had no training, he had no schooling, he had no ethical underpinnings. And he worked very closely with Syngman Rhee, who was murdering his political enemies. Nichols trained the police who did some of that. He attended torture sessions. He attended mass killings.
There were beheadings?
I found a photograph of him standing next to a severed head.
Just remarkable. And I kept, as I was turning the pages, thinking, how did we not know this man's story? Explain what happened to him.
Well, he was there for 11 years. And finally, the American Air Force figured that he was no longer useful. So they removed him in the middle of the night in a straitjacket and sent him to the psych ward of a military hospital on the Florida Panhandle and gave him more than 50 rounds of electroshock. Think of Jack Nicholson in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
This is the United States of America we're talking about.
And he was discredited, thrown out of the Air Force. He told his family at the time that they are trying to destroy my memory.
Wow. And he ended up dying in Alabama, 1992, is that right?
And this story is based on U.S. Air Force records and my personal interviews with people who worked with Nichols here and in South Korea.
Now, tell us a bit about your journalistic background, because it plays into your familiarity with this subject matter and this area of the world.
This is my 3rd book about Korea. And I found out about Nichols because my last book was about a North Korean fighter pilot. When he defected to the United States, the person who debriefed him was Donald Nichols. And Donald Nichols, 6'2", 260 pounds, drank a case of Coca-Cola a day and 2 or 3 boxes of Butterfingers. He was unlike any spy you could imagine.
Yeah.
And so the fighter pilot, who I got to know very well, he said Nichols was amazing. He knew everything about what was going inside the North Korean government. So I wondered, who was this guy? And I spent the past 3 years digging at records to find out.
It is just amazing. And this is his role in what happened in North Korea. Is it known by the North Korean people?
Yes.
And so how is that knowledge used?
Well, during the war, assassins were sent to kill him. One of those assassins was shot near his headquarters and buried where he was shot. The North Koreans knew who he was, in fact mentioned him many times in show trials. But his name never appeared in the New York Times or the Washington Post. He was almost unknown to American history. And the dimensions of what he did has not been reported until this book. This book changes our understanding of what happened in the Korean War.
And maybe how we got in part to where we are now. So the president has recently tweeted out that only one thing will work in our relationship with North Korea, which many people took to mean military action. I don't know for sure, we don't know.
Right.
Where are we in terms of a scale of potential incendiary conflict?
Two things have changed in this summer. Trump's tweets, which have set the world, created new tension, and then technical progress by North Korea to marry nuclear warheads with long-range ballistic missiles. They're getting very close to be able to hit cities like Seattle.
I don't even know what to say to that. And they already, of course, could obliterate South Korea and Japan.
Right. The game of extortion is what they've used, extortion using weapons. And for years, the weapons were artillery aimed at Seoul, where more than 20 million people live. Now they have medium-range missiles that can hit all of Japan, including Tokyo, the largest city in the world by population. And soon, if not already, they have the capacity to fire long-range missiles with warheads toward the United States.
It could not be more serious. This is an important book to read just to understand the story, but thank you. We need to all be educated about what's going on and follow this. This is as serious gets.
Blaine is going to discuss King of Spies and the ongoing tensions with North Korea this Wednesday, October 11th at Folio. We've linked more information, all the details you need online, and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Thank you.